Hey everybody, welcome to Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. This is Scene versus Scene, where we look at two movies that are very similar, but there's just one scene that shows you why one movie's great and the other is... meh. I'd like to compare The Lion King and Aquaman. Each film begins by showing these new kings as babies, where they're touted as being the next ruler of their societies. Each culture is filled with diverse creatures who live in balance with one another. Their homes are beautiful and vibrant, while their traditional societies believe in arranged marriages.
One day you two are going to be married.
Will you escort my betrothed to the royal box?
Royal parents impart valuable life lessons about ruling to these future kings before they're killed while the king is still very young. Afterwards, the young prince runs away from his problems.
Run away and never return.
Do not ever come back to Atlantis.
And for the next several years, he parties. In their absence, the violent relatives become king by staging tragedies to assume power. At one point, they use large groups of non-speaking characters to assassinate their rivals for the throne. The evil king also uses sidekick villains to do his dirty work and assassinate the rightful heir. Then a young female character of royal blood finds the young king and asks him to return because the evil ruler is creating devastation. The heir replies several times by saying,
I'm not the king.
But then, thanks to the urging of an older mentor figure who knew their dead parent, the hero goes on a quest to regain the throne. Back in the homeland, there's civil strife as different factions prepare to fight one another. The hyenas and the lions and the various kingdoms of Atlantis.
Crab people, crab people.
The true king meets his dead parent and is finally ready to assume responsibility and take back the throne.
I know what I have to do, but going back means I'll have to face my past.
I came because I had no choice.
Then, when the true king arrives, he has to fight the evil king before ascending to the throne. He even gets help from the evil king's former sidekicks, in this case the Trench and the hyenas. Now, obviously, I left out a lot of Aquaman, like the treasure hunt for the Trident, the underseas politics.
The alliance of the other two kingdoms should be our immediate concern.
Becoming Ocean Master, the racist sea monster voiced by Mary Poppins,
half-breed.
Gimli as leader of the crab people.
But you will never have my allegiance! Crab people.
The sea monkey coup, and a whale headbutting a spaceship. There's a lot happening in Aquaman, and that's part of the problem. For the record, I am not taking a dump on this movie. I really like it, even more the second time I saw it. But James Wan plowed through this thing like Dom Toretto driving a Maserati off a skyscraper. It's like Wan told his team, this is the only Aquaman movie that will ever be made, so we're putting everything in this. Yes, even an octopus playing battle drums. Whereas The Lion King barely has a second act. After Simba leaves Pride Rock, he Hakuna Matatas, talks to 3 people from his past, and returns to challenge Scar. He doesn't have to find a MacGuffin or win some faction of zebras to his side. And yet, The Lion King feels epic, whereas Aquaman is always trying to feel epic. By staying focused on Simba's journey, Lion King keeps the story personal and simple. We don't just watch Simba lose his father, we feel it.
You gotta get up. Dad.
We want him to go home and take his place in the circle of life. But to be fair, Aquaman had a lot of boxes to check. The movie had to maintain a narrative tie to Justice League, tell us Arthur's origin story, introduce us to Atlantis, Atlantean culture, Atlan's Trident, Orn's quest to become Ocean Master, whatever Ocean Master means, Black Manta, his dead dad and his whole deal, all while setting up future movies and future crossovers. And the biggest challenge was to sell Aquaman as a badass after decades of mocking the character.
My ability to talk with fish is of no help, Wonder Woman.
So it's hard for the movie to stay focused on how Arthur is feeling. He has no connection to Atlantis.
But I'm not one of you.
No affection for his mentor, Volko.
What the hell's this?
And no real personal connection to Orn.
Get to know my little brother. Let him know that he wasn't alone. If only I had known what a dick he would turn out to be.
He only fights Orn because he wants to save the surface, not Atlantis. So it's a little weird that the first fight with Orn is for the throne. Because...
I don't want to be king.
And when he finally does want to be king and he fights Orn, it just kind of feels hollow. Why does Arthur suddenly want the throne? They're fighting because Arthur is the hero and the hero needs someone to fight. So let's talk about these two climaxes. And how we would have tweaked Aquaman to give its final fight the epic feel it deserved. First, Lion King. Before Simba ever returns to Pride Rock, there are personal stakes. Simba doesn't know that Scar killed Mufasa, so there's some tension about when this info bomb is going to drop. There's a bit of dialogue where the sides of the battle are clearly explained. It's Scar and the hyenas versus Simba and the lions.
They think I'm king.
Scar uses Simba's guilt about Mufasa's death against him. Lightning strikes, burning Pride Rock, but then Scar's pride gets the best of him,
I killed Mufasa.
inspiring Simba to fight back. So this conflict isn't just about violence. Events are unfolding because of characters' decisions that are true to their personalities. After Scar's villainous nature is revealed, the personal conflict erupts into war. But the battle stays focused on Hamlet and Claudius. As the stakes are raised, they ascend the mountain, and there's still room for revealing character moments. Scar blames everything on the hyenas. Simba says he'll show him mercy because he doesn't want to kill his own uncle. But then Scar fights dirty and pounces. This moment feels big, but it's not over the top. There's no kung fu like Rafiki was throwing down on the hyenas a few minutes ago. Disney animators spent months studying how real lions fight in nature. So even though it's animated, this feels grounded. It feels kind of real. The stakes feel real. Scar is overconfident, and Simba knocks him from the cliff, and then Scar's hyenas turn on him. Metaphorically, this is saying that evil always consumes itself like a fire burning out of control. So now let's look at the final fight between Orin and Arthur. First of all, there aren't any personal stakes. Orin attacked the surface earlier, but he didn't kill Arthur's dad or anyone Arthur knows. If this fight was against, like, I don't know, the dead king who forced Arthur's mom into exile, then it would mean something. But instead, we have two dudes who just really love their mom. Orin's motivation is that he's tired of humans poisoning the oceans. But so is Mira.
You've also got disgusting cities whose sewers empty out into our ocean.
And Arthur also agrees.
Point taken. Listen, yeah, we got some idiots running the show.
I mean, yes, Orin is power hungry and he kills the Sea Monkey King. But I don't really care about the Sea Monkey King, do you? Are the sea monkeys nice? Do they raise injured fish and release them into the wild? Or are they just there to show Orin killing someone because Orin is a big meanie who's going to fight Aquaman later? Anyways, this fight begins with the final battle of the Civil War between Atlantis. All these kingdoms we know nothing about are fighting to control a kingdom we know nothing about. It is massive in scale, but small in soul. If this battle happened at the end of a trilogy, like after Arthur met with all these kingdoms personally to find the trident or had some crab person friend or something, this would have had personal stakes. Think of the end battle in Avengers Endgame. It's filled with characters and subgroups of characters that we've really gotten to know. We didn't get that from Aquaman. But the battle's still pretty cool. Arthur arrives, he saves the Crab King's life. He's riding a giant kraken with his special weapon. Sharks with frickin' laser beams in their heads shoot the kraken, and then Aquaman demonstrates his full power by, yes, talking to fish. So this isn't really a character beat, it's like an abilities beat. Like if Arthur was a pro wrestler and this was his intro music. He takes a few seconds to kiss a lady, typical in the DCEU, and then the fight is on. Mira and Aquaman decide there are too many casualties, but we don't feel the effect of the bloodshed. There's no close-ups of people dying like in Endor in this poor little Ewok. Text #HelpEwok to donate $10 to the Ewok Relief Fund today. Don't really do that, it's not real. Anyways, Arthur takes the fight to the surface and we miss out on a nice potential character moment. Earlier, Arthur was beaten under the water, but rather than prove he's overcome his inability to fight under the sea, he takes the fight above ground. So now Arthur has the upper hand. It's not very suspenseful. Also, it's not like the people in Atlantis want the King of the Seas to be good at fighting on land. It kind of destroys the point of trial by combat. The stakes in this battle are very different from Lion King. There's nothing personal riding on it. It's just two guys who are fighting because they have to. They have no reason to hate each other. Maybe if their mom would have left Orin to live on the land, then Orin might have resented Arthur. Or if Orin would have fought Volko and killed him in the first fight instead of Arthur, then Arthur would want revenge. Instead, this is just a battle for politics. And there's nothing exceptional in the fight itself. There's the stare down, the badass line,
Do the gods make known their will?
the camera spinny thing, throwing crap in the hero's face, spinny blades, the rally pose. Then Aquaman finally wins by doing the baton twirling trick we saw earlier. Just like in Lion King, the hero shows mercy. And then there's this line,
But I'm not one of you.
which is really dumb because he's literally fighting to be their king. All through the movie, what has Arthur's arc been? To become king and to be accepted by the Atlanteans, who are pretty racist.
A half-breed.
Tainted mongrel blood. Half-breed.
Half-breed.
Mob blood.
And now suddenly he's saying,
But I'm not one of you.
and then Nicole Kidman shows up, the sun comes out, and everybody gets along. Yet another DCEU fight broken up by Mom.
Why did you say that name?
I'm not saying this scene is bad because the fight is bad. The end fight of Black Panther looks like a PlayStation 2 cutscene, but the human actors give it emotional weight.
Bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships, because they knew death was better than bondage.
The Aquaman fight is bland because we don't identify with the hero. If anything, Orin is more sympathetic. He's like the dutiful brother in the prodigal son parable, who's worked the family farm for years while his family showers affection on a ne'er-do-well relative.
I have devoted my life to Atlantis.
The fight is really just there so Aquaman has someone to fight at the end. It's fun to watch, but you don't really care about it. So what separates these two battles is character motivation. In The Lion King, this fight is the natural, final step of Simba's journey. Scar betrayed him and the kingdom. Simba wants to restore the land and his father's legacy. He wants to heal the circle of life. This battle has to be fought. Simba has to be king. It's the fulfillment of both his character and the story we're watching. So what about Aquaman? Arthur wants to save the surface, but doesn't really care about Orin or Atlantis.
I beat him in a battle. War's over. I gotta go home.
He's only involved because others have put him there. Volko, Mira, his mom, they've all told him exactly what to do, and he never actually makes a decision. In fact, and his last line of the movie is,
So, what do I do now?
well, hell, Arthur, if you don't know, how should we?